Chemical health rule. This is in the MIAA handbook. It's 62.1. Just to read from the slide, from the earliest fall practice date to the conclusion of the academic year or final athletic event, whichever is latest, a student shall not, regardless of quantity, use, consume, possess, buy, sell, or give away any beverage containing alcohol, any tobacco product, marijuana, steroids, or any controlled substance. So this applies to athletes out of season during the school year. Athletes are held to a higher standard, and we expect that our athletes do not violate that chemical health rule. The violations for the chemical health rule 62.1, the first offense is losing eligibility for the next interscholastic contest totaling 25% of all contests in that sport. So they lose 25% of their season. The second offense, they lose eligibility for 60% of the remainder in that sport. And again, rules apply to athletes out of season. So an athlete that only plays soccer, if they were to violate that in the winter outside of the season, it would apply to the next soccer season. Another important rule I'd like to highlight, Rule 45 in the MIAA handbook, the bona fide team member rule. Bona fide team member is a student who is consistently present for and actively participates in all athletic team sessions, tryouts, practices, competitions. Bona fide team member of a school team are precluded from missing a high school practice or competition in order to participate in non-school athletic activity events in any sport recognized by the MIAA. This rule is put in place to maintain the stability of high school athletics. It only applies to other sports recognized by the MIAA. For example, if a student's playing a fall sport, soccer, and is also in band, because band isn't a MIAA sanctioned sport, there's no conflict there, and that's why band members are able to play sports, and you don't have to worry about the bona fide team member rule. We appreciate the relationship we have with our band here, and we really appreciate those that are willing to put in the time to do both. But this rule applies to, for example, skipping a soccer practice for the high school to play in a soccer practice or game on a club team. That would be a violation, and that student would then miss, you can see the penalty, 25% of the season. Second offense would be 25% of the season, and then is ineligible for tournament play after that, upon confirmation of the violation. Okay, also very important for tryouts, coming up very quickly. Eligibility. Coaches must have the following in order for an athlete to try out or practice on the first day. As you know, football practice begins on Monday. All other sports practice begins on Thursday. So first, a copy of the athlete's most recent physical and attached purple eligibility form. The purple eligibility form will be signed by the school nurse on the first day of school, but since the school nurse is not in until then, we ask you to fill out the purple form, attach your most recent physical to it. Coaches are going to verify the date of the most recent physical, which needs to be within 13 months. Again, on the first day of school, the nurse will confirm and sign off on the purple form. The second thing is a completed inside parent permission and consent form. Those are being handed out on the way in. Hopefully everyone received one. If you didn't, we can get another copy for you. That is just something that needs to be filled out by the parent and then signed. And then finally, a signed handbook form. Again, everyone should have gotten a copy of that. Just signing, saying that you've read through the handbook and you understand the district's rules and expectations. The handbook is online, but if you'd like a hard copy of it, we do have hard copies also that I can get you. In addition, athletes must have passed 4 subjects in the 4th grading quarter to be eligible. They're a little more stringent in the fall because not only must an athlete have passed 4 subjects in the 4th grading quarter, but they also must have passed 4 subjects for the year. So it's a little more stringent than it is for winter and spring sports where it's only the quarter grade. So this is 4 passing grades for the quarter, but also 4 passing grades for the year. So for physicals, all students must pass a physical examination within 13 months. There is a new rule here starting this fall that I'd like to point out to everyone. Over the past 4 or 5 years, I believe, beginning on day one, if an athlete was physically eligible on day one, they were automatically eligible for the entire season. That's changed this year. If an athlete is eligible on day one and not eligible on day two because of their physical has expired, they'll need to get another physical before they can play. So you want to make sure that the physical, to be eligible to practice or try out, the physical needs to have been done within the last 13 months, and it's good, and your physical is good for 13 months. But if that 13 months expires in a month from now, another physical takes place in a month in order to continue to play on the team. So that, again, that's a new rule. They're not eligible for the entire season. So you want to take a look at when their physical was and make sure if the 13 months is about to expire, you get another one, and you plan for that accordingly. Okay, Rule 48, taunting. Taunting includes any actions or comments by coaches, players, spectators, which are intended to bait, anger, embarrass, ridicule, or demean others. I'm very proud to say that BMR has gotten the Sportsmanship Award. I believe every year of the last 10 years except for one. And we at BMR, I feel like we have great athletes. We have parents that are very dedicated, but you see very little to no taunting. And I always say at our parent-athlete meetings, when we travel to another school or when other schools travel to us, they get a picture of our district from our athletics at times. And I encourage everybody to be a positive model of what BMR is like through no taunting, treating everybody fairly, and especially officials, which is tough at times, respectfully. But I can say that officials are always doing their best, and they are going to make mistakes, but I know they appreciate it, and I hear about it all the time when fans and athletes are respectful to them. There are penalties for taunting in games, disqualifying of the offending bench personnel from that contest, disqualification of a contestant from that contest, ejection of spectators who taunt. I did mention briefly the athletic handbook. It is online. You can get a copy, but we do want all parents, guardians, and athletes to sign the acknowledgement of receipt of athletic handbook, just saying that you are aware of the district's rules and regulations regarding athletics. The term hazing shall mean any conduct or method of initiation into any student organization, whether on public or private property, which willfully, recklessly endangers the physical or mental health of any student or other person. Coaches are all aware of what hazing is, are making sure that hazing doesn't and never will happen at BMR. But we are here to make sure that it doesn't. Everyone should have received a copy of state law regarding hazing on your way in, and our coaches are aware of the seriousness of it, and we'll make sure that that's passed along to the athletes on their team. But we trust that it won't happen and never will at BMR. Finally, the last point that we're going to discuss is concussions. Really big topic. Just want to make sure everyone's aware. Coaches have all been trained and certified in recognizing concussions. There is a new rule regarding concussion training also that took effect in the winter. And that is that all parents and athletes need to take and pass an online concussion course. It's free. It takes about a half an hour. There's a link to it through our athletics webpage. It's very informative. But all parents and athletes need to do that. The coaches have done that. Volunteers will do that if we have any volunteers working with our teams. Again, it's 30 minutes, it's free, it's informative. The forms that you'll sign off on says that I have taken and passed the online concussion course.